We've got loads coming up between now and 7. I'm very excited about it. And, of course, we are starting the show. Well, I say, of course, we'll talk about the game tonight, but we're starting the show with an age-old international debate. Should players be picked on form, or is a successful CV enough? Great question.
Sterling! 1-0 to England, and finally they have the breakthrough. He's pulled it back, and it's tucked in by Palmer.
I'm not so sure Raheem Sterling's pulled up any trees. I certainly think Cole Palmer has. You look at players differently to I do. What do you make of Raheem Sterling's direction of travel at Chelsea?
Because of what he's done for England in the past, you take him to the Euros, he still should be in the England squad for me.
Where would Chelsea be without Cole Palmer this season?
It's interesting music. We're stuck on the back of that. I think it's a great question. I think it's a real tough question as well, because it's very rare that managers will constantly change a starting 11 for an international team based on form.
No, but
right? If for argument's sake, to exaggerate a point to prove a point that Jason Cundy says, if Harry Kane goes through a goal drought and doesn't score a goal in 11 games between one international and another, he's still going to be picked for England, irrelevant of if Ollie Watkins scores 10 in 10.
But that was the same case with Shearer, wasn't it, before Euro 96?
Yeah,
struggled, yeah.
God bless him, yeah. So I don't have a problem with that, okay? I understand managers have got the favour. But what I do have a problem with is if, for argument's sake, I'm going to talk about your mate, right, Jordan Henderson. If you've got a player, right, that's not necessarily doing it at the moment.
But he's captain of one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Matter.
Carry on.
Doesn't matter. But you've got a youngster like Kobe Manu coming through.
Yep. Who's untested, but yeah.
Oh, wow, you're so... Honestly...
That was true, no?
So biased.
Am I lying?
But here's my point. If Manu starts tonight and he's about 99.9%, apparently sure of starting, has a good game, not a great game, let's not go overboard, but has a good game, and it was all right for the 15 minutes he'd come on, right? I sort of think there's your audition.
Yeah.
But I know deep down that irrelevant of how he plays tonight and how he plays between now and the first game of the Euros for Man United, I sort of feel that Henderson's going to start for England. Right.
Well, listen, first and foremost, you've got Hendo, obviously captain of Ajax.
And I know he's your mate.
Leader, legend.
Right. I know we joke about it, but he's your mate. And if I'm talking about people that I know in the public eye, in the sporting world,
Jimmy White, and when we talk about sitting at the top table,
yeah, I would always say that Jimmy is, because he's my mate, and there's a part of me that still does actually believe he should be there. But it's difficult.
Yeah,
but I get it. Henderson's your mate. You've grown up with it. I understand.
If Manu plays well tonight against this opposition, then for me, it's perfect, because then Declan Rice can slot into that 8, and you have Jude Bellingham as a 10. But he's got to play well tonight, because what you don't want it to be another indecisive performance. He's kind of okay, then it leaves more questions than answers. Do you know what I mean? So, but with the whole reputation, you look at someone like Raheem Sterling, because that's what we're talking about. You know what's mad? He's only 29 years old.
That is mad.
Right. The way people talk about Raheem Sterling, you think he was 34. But he's only 29, right? So you've got Ollie Watkins is 28. Ivan Toney is 28. 1 year younger than him. So I don't think it's all over for Sterling, but listen, he's got 6 goals in the Premier League this season, 3 assists. I was comparing him to the other people who's been picked in the squad. So Anthony Gordon's got 9 goals, 5 assists. Watkins is, I know he's a centre-forward, but 16 goals and 10 assists. He's been outstanding. Ivan Toney had the 8th-month ban. He's got 4 goals. Jared Bowen, 14 goals, 3 assists. Phil Foden, 11 goals, 7 assists. Marcus Rashford, who's had a poor season by standards, he's even got more goals and assists than him. So he hasn't had a good season, Raheem Sterling. Too indecisive at times. His final part of when he's at Chelsea, the final little bit, the final third, he's at the minute he's picking the wrong option, not the right option. The penalty situation in the last game, at the minute it's just not happening for him. But I think Raheem Sterling, if you look over his career, he can catch fire really quickly. So he'll get 1, then 2, then all of a sudden he goes on a run. So I wouldn't say the door's completely shut for him. But if you're being honest and being fair, which Gareth Southgate's shot himself in his own foot, because he spoke about, I don't really like to pick players on form because you can't just do that. But then he left out Raheem Sterling because he said his form wasn't good enough. He said the same about Tyrone Mings when he left him out. I think it was the start of last season. His form hasn't been good enough. Well, hold on. We've seen Harry Maguire have one of the worst periods in his career and still get picked.
He has done that a lot. He's contradicted himself.
All the time.
All managers do, to be fair.
But I do think Raheem Sterling, even though he's not playing very well, he's a player that can catch fire quickly. And he did it in the last Euros. Leading up to it, everyone was saying he shouldn't start. Like,
well, he wasn't. I don't know if you remember. He wasn't really starting for Man City.
He wasn't really playing. The moment Gareth showed his face at him and he was playing in the Euros, for me, he was England's best player.
So if Gareth Southgate knows that, right? He knows that because he was the best player for England at the Euros. You're right. He was brilliant, Sterling, right? There's no doubt about that. If Gareth Southgate thinks, okay, he's not playing well for his club, but when I pick him, in an England shirt, he always goes above and beyond. Do you pick him for the Euros?
I don't think you can. And the only reason I'd say that...
You only pick on current form, right?
Not on current form. But in certain positions, though, like, it depends what else is going on in that position.
Okay.
Now, Marcus Rashford's having a bit of a bad time. And Sterling, you'd probably say Sterling's form... Actually, they're probably in the same boat, right? But I just don't think you can justify it. As well as he has done, Raheem Sterling, and he's been, honestly, for England, outstanding. When you've got other players who play in that same area, who have had the seasons they've had, you just can't justify leaving someone who's got almost double goals, double assists at home because of what Raheem's done previous. I just don't think you could do that.
Does that count for anything? I'm playing devil's advocate here because I sort of agree with you. But the fact that every time you pull an England shirt on, you've never disappointed, that must count for something.
Yeah, but then also you talk about Sterling then taking someone's spot who is catching fire, because there's no guarantees, although he's done it before, there's no guarantees that Sterling all of a sudden puts the England shirt on and turns back into Raheem Sterling for England.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden you might have picked him, left, I don't know, Jared Bowen behind, who's been unbelievable for West Ham this season.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky one. But listen, one thing I won't have is people saying that they've never really had him. He's never been great for England.
Who?
He has, Raheem Sterling.
Of course he has.
He's been unbelievable.
Yeah, he divides opinion, but so does Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Right? So does... That's why we love football, because everyone's got their view. No one agrees with everyone. But would you take him based on...
Not now.
Based on his CV?
His CV is incredible. I wish I had that CV.
Yeah.
But I can't justify taking him when you've got other players in that position that are almost like simmering, ready to go.
What about the Henderson role, right? I know he's your mate, but what about the Henderson role in as much that... Listen, I'm going to be honest. Henderson doesn't let England down.
No.
Right? I'm not his biggest fan, right? But not because he's a bad player. He's not a bad player. You can't be a bad player. But I look at him and I just get a little bit frustrated because there's nothing, he doesn't score goals. There's nothing he does that I think you're worthy of your place.
You also believe that there are players now ready to go and he's like almost holding the lineup.
Yeah.
Listen, I get that. I understand that.
But with Henderson, what you get is, without that experience, without that someone that has played at the highest level for a long, long time, obvious experience, but someone that's pulled that England shirt on, part of the setup already, and won't let you down. You've got all that on one side, and on the other side, you've got youth coming through and probably more form. So where do you go there?
But that's why you have to take a Henderson, because even if you don't play him, you have to have him there, just because again, experience. It's a young squad. There's also a lot of injuries this season as well, where some of your, like Luke Shaw for me, England's best left back. If he's fit, he has to play. There's a chance he might not be fit with these injuries. Maguire's form, but he's got he's been with England a long time, so you need a bit of experience. But if you've got one or two injuries, you can't just replace them with freshies.
Can I ask, have you been in a team, either at club or international level, where there's a player that the fans don't necessarily get, but you and your teammates know he's so important to your team?
There's probably been a few, and I think, there's somebody who always, not divides opinion, but you'd agree with me that he was never. I don't remember being in the squad of him and people raving about him. Michael Carrick.
I know, but they should have done.
That's my point. We all knew how good he was, but it was like,
that's a great example.
We all knew in the dressing room, how good is he? But he never seemed to get the same.
No, you're 100% right.
As other people. Yeah. And he was outstanding, by the way.
He was. Fantastic player. Right, listen, it's basically going to be England between now and 7, when, of course, we build up to live commentary of England against Belgium. But this is how we're starting the show. We'd love you to be a part of it. It's an age-old debate, but an interesting one as well. Should players be picked on form or through their very impressive CV? 0371 722 3344. Dial that. You'll be next, live on Drive on talkSPORT.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.